give us what we need. Hey!
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power! Fight the power! It's just me against the world. In the city, the cops are topping me. The project is full of bullets, no bodies is dropping. There ain't no stopping me. Constantly moving while making millions. Witnessing killings, leaving dead bodies in the abandoned buildings. Can't reach the children cause they're illin'. Addicted to killing and the appeal from the cap villain. Without feeling, but will they last or be blasted? Hard-headed bastard. Maybe you'll listen in this casket. The aftermath. More bodies being buried. I'm losing my homies in a hurry. They relocating to the cemetery. Got me worried. Stressing my business blurry. The question is, will I live? No one in the world loves me. I'm headed for danger. Don't trust strangers. Put one in the chamber whenever I'm feeling this anger. Don't wanna make excuses, cause this is how it is. What's the use unless we're shooting? No one notices the youth. It's just me against the world, baby.
Woo! And it feels like that. Folks, welcome to Areva Martin in real time. I'm your special guest host, Farajii Muhammad. We are celebrating Black Music Month all month long. The great Tupac, the late great Tupac, whose birthday is actually this Sunday. My goodness, it has been that long since that brother. His legacy, though, is indelible in hip-hop history and in so many other places. Again, folks, I'm your special guest host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a lot to talk about here on the show today. First and foremost, on the second hour, we're going to be having a conversation with Dr. Bridget Cole-Williams, who is an established board-certified family physician. She's a best-selling author of the book Courage in Cannabis and the CEO of Green Harvest Health, a medical cannabis and integrative health clinic. She's going to be joining us in a little bit, and that is in the second hour of today's show. But in the first hour, we were going to cover a couple of conversations. One, we're going to have a discussion about how one particular artist, a multidisciplinary performer, Bonita Oliver, is doing her part to bring and shine light on history. As we go into Juneteenth, she has a special exhibition for in the name of Sojourner Truth that's going to be taking place tomorrow. We'll talk to her a little bit about that. But this first conversation is going to be with Capitol Hill correspondent Ashley Banks, who is joining us today as we have a discussion about some of the political topics that we may not have discussed or we did not give enough time to discuss over these past few days this week. But before we get into the conversation, I gotta do my due diligence to first and foremost invite you to join me on social media. You can follow me on Instagram at The Real Farajii. I would love to connect with you. The Real Farajii, Farajii on Instagram. You can also follow me on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, at Farajii, Farajii. Also, you make sure y'all follow my sister, Areva Martin. She is always doing something great within the community across this country, so make sure y'all check her out at Areva, Areva Martin. And we would be remiss if we did not tell you to follow KBLA 1580 on social media. So do your due diligence there. Also, while you're on social media, check us out on our website at KBLA1580.com. And you will see all of the great things that are happening here at our illustrious station in the great city of Los Angeles. Next week is going to be a power week for KBLA 1580. We're going to be hosting, and you've been hearing about it, our Climate Justice, Climate Care Summit. that is going to be moderated by our very own brother Tavis Smiley. That is going to be happening on the 18th, Tuesday, June the 18th at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. So make sure if you haven't registered to be in your face in the place, you can still do so. And you've got a couple of seats left. So you want to make sure you get registered. The event is free, but we just want to make sure that we have a proper head count. That's going to be happening on Tuesday evening, and it's going to be shown live on C-SPAN. So you cannot miss this important conversation where we are bringing together black leaders, black officials, black community leaders and activists together to have one conversation about climate change and the impact that it has on the black community. So make sure you do your due diligence there and join us for that conversation in person, or check us out on C-SPAN. And then the next day, we're going to be celebrating our 3rd year anniversary of KBLA 1580, something that is a huge milestone for us. So we're going to be doing that. And of course, that coincides with Juneteenth. And so we want you to join us. Again, all the details on our website at KBLA1580.com. All right, let me jump into the conversation before we take our first pause. I am joined by my sister, who is doing a phenomenal job in making sure she is asking the right questions at the right time to the right people. And so we're happy to have her back on the airways of KBLA 1580 here on Areva Martin in real time. My sister Ashley Banks, who is a Capitol Hill correspondent. She has done work and has written for such publications as The Griot, The Afro, and so many more. She also has her own Substack. But Ashley, I thank you so much for joining us once again. How are you this afternoon?
Hi, Farajii. I'm doing pretty well and happy to be here. How about yourself?
I'm good now. I'm good. We're getting the show started, and we got a lot to talk about, so I'm very, very good. I want to start off here first, Ashley, because you've been doing a bang-up job, as they say, covering and having these conversations. And, as we're getting into Juneteenth, my mind is shifting on how do we make sure that this year's celebration of Juneteenth, right, that moment in our history and in American history, how do we make sure that it's not just all celebration, all style, but no substance? And the reason I'm bringing it up and I'm setting up this part of the conversation this way is because as much as we do have some great things to celebrate, as we were talking about that moment in history of Juneteenth, the big story that came out this week was the Oklahoma Supreme Court dismissing the lawsuit of the Tulsa race massacre survivors that were seeking reparations. This was a 9-member court that upheld the decision made by a district court judge in Tulsa last year. There were only 2 survivors of that massacre, Mother Viola Ford Fletcher and Mother Leslie Benningfield Randall, and they were both a part of this lawsuit seeking reparations. We have the great honor, privilege, and pleasure here on KBLA. Brother Tavis Smiley had spoken to Mother Fletcher months ago. We reprised that conversation just like a couple of weeks ago. But then to hear at 110 years old, our dear Mother Fletcher, that she did not get her day in court. And as I'm listening, I could not have a conversation about Juneteenth. We can't talk about anything other than what I think this is a very important point, that the work has to continue. That, yeah, there is some celebration, but it's hard to celebrate, Ashley, what happened back in the 1800s when just a little over 100 years ago, we still can't get justice. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, that's a good point, Farajii. As you know, I went to the White House's Juneteenth celebration on Monday, and where, President Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they invited a bunch of celebrities and lawmakers and who's who of D.C., and they had all of these celebrities on stage, Kirk Franklin, Patti LaBelle, Raheem DeVaughn, Dougie Fresh, Charlie Wilson, Gladys Knight, you name it. And it seemed like everybody was having a good time. But before the event started, I did speak with quite a few people, like Diana Presley, Ben Crump, and the Senate candidate for Maryland, Angela Also Brooks. And I wanted to talk to them about the criticism around Juneteenth, where some people were just not happy that this event was taking place. Some people are stating that it's a waste of time, that it's pandering to get the black vote, that black people need more, like reparations, and that this is just an empty gesture. And so Ben Crump and Angela Also Brooks are kind of on the same path, where they basically stated that they believe the Biden administration is doing what needs to be done to help black people. But then it was Ayanna Presley, someone who's been very critical, we'll say, of the Biden administration, especially when it comes to the Israel-Hamas conflict, what's happening in Gaza. And she said to me something a little different, just that people have the right to criticize the government. And these are elected officials. These are people that you're supposed to hold accountable. But she really wanted to pay homage to Opal Lee and to the people that came before her that really paved the way for black lawmakers to be at the Capitol, for you and I to be able to be having this discussion on the radio right now. And so, to your point, from gauging the public, I would say the people that I spoke to outside of lawmakers and people in the public eye want more, believe more needs to be done. I think that, my personal opinion, I think that, sure, it's okay to celebrate, but the emphasis should be on moving us forward, making sure that people are getting what they deserve. There's no reason why, when it comes to Black Wall Street, that woman did not get to see justice.
Right.
There's absolutely no reason why that shouldn't have happened. It's not right. It's not fair. And something needed to be done, and I hope that soon we will see justice in this case. But there should be emphasis on situations like that, on incidents like that, on pieces of history where justice needs to be served.
Absolutely.
And so
absolutely,
it's really unfortunate. I remember talking to Congressman Jamal Bowman a couple weeks ago, and Representative Sheila Jackson Lee was reintroducing the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And, of course, he's like, I'm for it. I hope it passes this time, but he said more than likely it's not. And he said to me, I hope it doesn't become like H.R. 40, the reparations bill, where we keep introducing it, reintroducing it, and nothing happens.
Absolutely. Look,
that shouldn't be a thing.
No, it shouldn't be a thing. Yeah. Unfortunately, Ashley, that is the rhythm. That's the trend of our political, of our policy pieces. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to continue the conversation with Capitol Hill correspondent Ashley Banks. Let's talk a little bit more about Juneteenth. Let's talk a little bit more about the Oklahoma Supreme Court dismissing the lawsuit. And more importantly, how should we go into Juneteenth this year, considering that we are taking some L's right now? Folks, you can join us in a conversation at 1-800-920-1580. Stay with us. It's Areva Martin in real time. I'm Farajii Muhammad. This is KBLA 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Pardon the interruption. It's me, Tavis Smiley, here to remind you that we are now just days away from our historic Climate Justice Symposium live on C-SPAN this coming Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the California Science Center. We are now pushing capacity, so if you plan to join us, stop procrastinating and get to KBLA1580.com right now and register. Attendance is free, but registration is mandatory. Black folk are flying into LA from all across the country to be in the room when we go live to the world with a stage full of black brilliance on the eve of Juneteenth. And you live here, you better get to KBLA1580.com right now and claim your seat.
If you're an adult in need of an accredited high school diploma, the Los Angeles Public Library can help. You could earn one for free in as few as 5 months, online with 24/7 access. You also get a personal academic coach, plus special training focused on 9 in-demand industries, as well as a resume and cover letter to advance your career. Visit the website at lapl.org/diploma. That's lapl.org/diploma.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the...
You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, where climate is king. Climate is king.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in 1 wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
The way we spend our time defines who we are. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Folks, and that's exactly what we're having right now. Real talk. I'm your special guest host, Farajii Muhammad, checking in with my sister, Ashley Banks, who is a Capitol Hill correspondent, a journalist, a fantastic writer, to talk to us a little bit about what is going on with this conversation around Juneteenth. We brought up the fact that earlier this week, the Oklahoma Supreme Court dismissed a major lawsuit of the Tulsa race massacre survivors that are seeking reparations from that great tragedy that struck our community, the black community of Tulsa, 103 years ago. And so Mother Viola Ford Fletcher, Mother Leslie Benningfield Randall, who have been a part of this lawsuit, now they won't get their day in court to share their experience. And more importantly, justice will not be rendered. And folks, as you're driving in your cars, as you're listening tonight, I can't think of celebrating what happened hundreds of years ago, or what happened back in the 1800s, when just 100 years ago, back in 1921, we had this tragedy. And Ashley Banks, I want to kind of get your take on it, because it's something that has, ever since I heard this story coming out earlier this week, it has been a weight on my heart and my spirit to hear the fact that even with something as blatant as the Tulsa race massacre, where you had 300, some folks say over nearly 400 black Tulsans were killed, burned bricks and fragments of churches, and you had buildings and businesses that were destroyed because of the anger and the rage of white people, seeing black people using the spirit of self-determination and only to run up against racism. And as a result of that, in that blatant display of racism, justice has not been rendered. Ashley, I want to play, you mentioned before the pause that you mentioned that you talked to a number of people as the White House held their annual Juneteenth celebration. I want to play for you something, some words that you were able to capture from civil rights attorney Ben Crump and getting his take on the conversation about whether the White House is doing enough for Juneteenth. Take a listen, folks.
What do you say to people who are upset and they're saying that Biden is pandering by having this event?
It's ridiculous because we have to respect what every citizen, what every ethnic group contributed to America. And right now, black history is under attack. And we have to say that it's important for black children, white children, brown children, and all of our children to know that their people contributed to making America be what it is today. And so I salute President Biden. I salute Vice President Harris for saying, no, Juneteenth, we honor it just like we honor everybody's culture.
Juneteenth, we honor just like we honor everyone's culture. Ashley Banks, talk to me. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less from Attorney Ben Crump. He's definitely been vocal about supporting the Biden-Harris administration, right? He's been a supporter from the beginning. But chatting with, ordinary folks who aren't, I don't know the right word here, but folks who aren't the biggest fan, I'll say, of the Biden-Harris administration may align their thoughts more with you, Farajii, where they just feel like more needs to be done for the black community, for minorities in this country, and to celebrate Juneteenth is such a slap in the face to them. To them, it's the equivalent of doing well on your job, and instead of getting a bonus, your boss gives you a pizza party. And so you'll see the memes where people talk about, nobody asked for this. We asked for loan forgiveness. We asked for reparations. We asked for equality, especially when it comes to pay. We'll say for just, black women who are in the same jobs as white men. Equal pay is something that people want. There are so many issues that need attention. And so people feel like, oh, okay, you're having all of these major celebrities at the White House perform, but to some, they're just shucking and jiving, and it's just a performance to make black people say, hey, look, the Biden-Harris administration is doing something for the black community, while the average person is struggling to put food on their table, is struggling to pay their gas and electric bill. And they just want real, right? They just want real things. They want real solutions to their problems. And they feel like this isn't it, Farajii.
This isn't
and so
it.
Even looking to the issue of Haiti, for instance,
Yeah.
we know there's a lot of turmoil in Haiti. And the Biden administration is still deporting Haitians back to a country where these people are going to be vulnerable, where, you know, gangs are really taking over about 90% of Port-au-Prince and are bleeding into other parts of the country, where, you know, they're forcing people to be on the brink of starvation because they targeted ports. They've targeted the main airports in the country that are now reopening. But for months, people have been on the brink of starvation because they're just not getting the needs that they should have, right, to survive. Yeah. And so people have been fleeing to the U.S. for help, and we have black politicians who have been critical of the Biden administration and have been begging the administration to give Haitians protected status, but instead the president is sending these people back, right? And then we have lawmakers who are drawing the comparisons to Ukrainian refugees or people who just don't look like us who are coming to this country for help and are getting the help that they need. And it's just not fair for black and brown people who need that same help. But basically people are just talking about how there are so many issues plaguing black and brown communities, and we're not getting what we're supposed to be getting.
And guess what? That sentiment is felt all across this country. I'm looking at some information, Ashley, that came from the GRIO, where they just put out a piece just earlier today saying that there was a new report from Pew Research that reveals that the majority of black Americans polled by the Pew Research Center believe racial conspiracy theories, saying legal, political, and economic systems in the U.S. are designed to hold black people back. Now, this was the author of the study, Dr. Kiana Cox, said in this interview with the Griot, she said that they find that the majority of black people believe that most institutions are actively designed to hold them back. 73% of those who were surveyed for this poll believe that's to be the case. 73%. That is not a small number, Ashley Banks.
No, that's huge.
73%. And this is a comprehensive national survey, which, going back to the point you made, was inspired by real-life focus groups with black Americans asked black participants a range of questions about their suspicions or what is formally known in the report as racial conspiracy theories. And this is why, and I'm gonna give you the final few moments to speak to this, Ashley. But this is what happens. They call it racial conspiracy theories, but this is what happens when you live in a duality in this country, where you see some progress, but then, like you said, you getting a pizza party, but you're not getting the type of attention and making the type of gains that you need to make. So you know, it's like what Frantz Fanon calls the otherness, this two-ness that exists, where you have to be happy, but then within yourself, you know that this ain't it. It's not fulfilling. Talk to me. What do you make of this, and how does the Biden administration, and more importantly, how does black leadership change this view of where we are in this country?
Yeah, 73% is pretty high, but I mean, there's statistics and data to back up that there are barriers out there that are creating these situations that hold black people back, right? So I don't think that we have to call these things race conspiracy theories. There are actual things like redlining that were put in place to make sure that black people didn't get ahead. And even more recently, we had Wells Fargo, I think this was a few years ago, where they were investigated, and it showed that they were actually discriminating against black people who wanted mortgages and who wanted loans. And so literally they were putting in systems to make sure that black people weren't getting the same things that their white counterparts were getting or other races were getting. And so that's not a conspiracy theory. That's a real discriminatory practice. And so those are just two examples, but there are hundreds of other real life examples out there where there are practices in place that keep black people back.
Absolutely.
And so,
we're up against the clock, but I at least wanted to kind of get your take on this as we talk about it. And of course, we'll be bringing you back, Ashley, to talk more about this, because you know you're right there in the halls of Congress. You're right there at Capitol Hill. You're talking to these folks, and I think it's important that folks understand your work, how important your work is in connecting the normal black American to their lawmakers. How can people find you on social media and get all of these takes that you've been getting from these leaders?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. My name is Ashley M. Banks on social, so it's ASHLEE, the letter M, and my last name is Banks, BANKS.
There it is, Ashley Banks checking in. She is a Capitol Hill correspondent. She's a fantastic journalist, and once again, giving her insight and analysis on these conversations. Ashley, thank you so much, and we'll do it again soon.
Yes, we will. Thank you, Farajii.
You're welcome. Folks, stay with us. It's Areva Martin in real time. I'm Farajii Muhammad. This is KBLA 1580.
Areva time is the right time. More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A new federal study shows nearly half of all U.S. households are not storing their guns properly. The study, published by the CDC, looked at data collected from gun owners in 8 states. It found up to 43% of those households stored loaded guns, which is not considered safe, while half of those households that stored loaded guns did not put them in locked containers. Meantime, President Biden is cautiously following the Supreme Court's ruling, preserving access to a widely used abortion pill. In a statement, Biden acknowledged the High Court's ruling that allows mifepristone to be mailed to patients without an in-person doctor's visit. The president went on to say that the fight for women's productive freedom is not over, claiming Republicans are planning to ban abortions nationwide. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
A three-vehicle accident in Anaheim's 91 East after Magnolia Avenue is blocking the left lane currently and causing a slight delay running heavy from Valley View Street. As you continue onto the 241 North connector to Highway 91, connector is partially blocked with a box in the left lane, and heavy traffic is over 15 minutes from Windy Ridge Toll Plaza. Stalls being cleared on the 405 North after Seal Beach Boulevard in Seal Beach, but a 25-minute delay and backup runs heavy from Beach Boulevard.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. If you're like many people, you may think custom blinds is a job for expensive professionals. Well, at Blindster, if you have a tape measure and a screwdriver, you can install our custom blinds and save big. Plus, we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
If you're an alumni of an HBCU school in the SWAC conference, there's a good chance your school's football team will be seen this season on ESPN. At least 34 games involving SWAC teams have been scheduled to air on ESPN's various platforms. The first national telecast is Saturday, August 24th, featuring Florida A&M versus Norfolk State in Atlanta. That game will air live on ESPN partner ABC. Each week during the college football season, we will let you know what games involving SWAC teams are scheduled for live coverage on ESPN. If the Boston Celtics beat the Dallas Mavericks tonight, it will be the first sweep in the NBA Finals since 2018 when Golden State swept LeBron in Cleveland. Tomorrow night at 7 here on KBLA, join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for Out of Bounds. You can join the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's. Save $40 on select 5-gallon HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams paint, like Weather Shield, Showcase, or Ceiling Paint. Plus, save $10 on drywall PVA primer and get free same-day delivery to the job site when you order by 2 p.m. Lowe's knows paint. Lowe's knows pros. Offers valid through 6/14. Delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriCanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriCanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
There's no time like the present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
How many brothers fell victim to the street? Rest in peace, son. There's a heaven for you. Be alive. If I told you that I never thought of that, my nigga, we the last ones left. But life goes on. How many brothers fell victim to the street? Rest in peace, son. There's a heaven for you. Be alive. If I told you that I never thought of that, nigga, we the last ones left. Life goes on. I bailed through the empty halls, breath stinking in my drawers. Ring, ring, ring. Quiet, y'all. Incoming call. Plus, it's my homie from high school. He getting by. It's time to bury another brother. Nobody cry. Life is a baller. Alcohol and booty calls. We used to do them as adolescents. Do you recall? Raised as G's. Loped out and blazed the weed. Get on the roof. Let's get smoked out and blaze with me. 2 in the morning and we still high. Assed out. Screaming thug till I die before I passed out. But now that you're gone, I'm in the zone thinking I don't wanna die all alone. But now you're gone, and all I got left is stinking memories. I love them getting to death. I'm drinking Hennessy while trying to make it last. I drank a fit for that ass when you pass, cause life goes on. How many brothers?
Life goes on. Rest in peace to Brother Tupac. It's Black Music Month here at KBLA 1580. We're doing our part to just highlight some of the great dynamic voices. 30 days, of course, folks, isn't enough time to go through the catalog of black music and the musicians that have impacted us and changed us in so many ways. But we're just doing our part here on Areva Martin in real time today. All throughout the show today, we're playing a little bit of Tupac, whose birthday is on Sunday. And he has a star on the Walk of Fame here in Los Angeles. And so his legacy is cemented as part of one of the great voices of black music and culture. Speaking of black music and culture, I'm joined by a sister who is doing her part. She also, as I think, Tupac got some New York roots. My sister here, Bonita Oliver, she's based out of Harlem, New York. So big shout out to Harlem and then to the good people of New York and all of those folks who tune into to the great work that we're doing here at KBLA and all of the good things. And so we want to talk to Bonita, as she is a multidisciplinary performer. She's a multifaceted artist. And she has a very, very special exhibition that's going to be happening tomorrow around Sojourner Truth, getting us further along and getting us more informed and knowledgeable as we go into Juneteenth. So, Bonita, I welcome you to Areva Martin in real time, and thank you so much for joining us this today. Talk to us a little bit about the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
having me on. It's so great to be talking to you. And yes, tomorrow at 3:00 p.m. in Florence, Massachusetts, at the Sojourner Truth Memorial statue right on Pine Street in Florence, Mass, I am presenting a live music performance. They are 4 arias, which tell a story about Sojourner Truth, but from a perspective that is critical of how the historical record has been recorded. So you know that the dominant narrative is highly skewed. You know, the person or persons or organizations that are publishing the books, the history books, you know, they have a certain way of telling our history that isn't always telling the whole truth of the story. So what I aim to do with this project, which is called AR Arias, Sojourner Truth, is to integrate music storytelling and augmented reality together with historical landmarks related to very important Black history figures such as Sojourner Truth and others, to re-examine the historical record. And tomorrow is really focused on how Sojourner got herself free, a re-examination of the very popular, notable Ain't I a Woman speech, which most people are familiar with the version of the speech that was transcribed by Frances Gage, who was a white woman, who actually distorted some of the details of Sojourner's story and had her characterized as if she were a person who was enslaved in the South, when in reality Sojourner had been enslaved in Ulster, New York, and spoke with most likely a Dutch accent, as it was her only language. Low Dutch was her only language spoken until the age of 9. So these arias are just kind of really telling a more nuanced story about Sojourner's life. Yeah. So I hope people will come out.
So no, and this is fantastic. And before we take our next pause, talk to us. Where can folks find the details of these 4 arias?
So, well, the event is noted on my website, bonitaoliver.com. Mm-hmm. So you can go to the website and you'll find details about the event. But let me tell you more about the arias. So the 4 arias are composed and written by myself. And I really sourced a lot of different historical books and interviewed many different people who are, scholars in Sojourner Truth and her life and story. But mostly I'm drawing from the narrative of Sojourner Truth, some of the speeches that she gave, and the book by Nell Irving Painter, who is a Black historian who has written a wonderful book about Sojourner Truth. So I'm drawing my facts from those sources, among others. Mm-hmm. And these 4 arias, each one is kind of looking at a different aspect of Sojourner's life. One of them is really kind of giving an overarching story of how she came to, claim her power. Mm-hmm. Another one is telling a story about the speech, the Ain't I a Woman speech. Another one is talking about how she purchased her first home in Florence, Massachusetts, and was able to do that by the carte de visite, these little postcards that she sold with her image on it. That was how she was able to support herself on speaking tours, and how she was eventually able to purchase her own home along with the sales of the narrative of Sojourner Truth. Another song is talking about the process of freeing her mind and being able to take those first brave steps that she took to walk herself to freedom, to walk away from her enslaver. The songs are telling a more personal perspective. It's an imagined personal perspective of Sojourner Truth on her history. She's telling her own story.
That's powerful. Bonita, that is powerful. We got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we'll continue to talk a little bit about this exhibition. You decided to take a different path to tell the story of Sojourner Truth. You're using augmented reality. So I want to get your take as to why you decided to use that medium to tell this story about one of our great freedom fighters, Sojourner Truth. So we'll have that part of the conversation. And moving forward, what were some of the big lessons that you've learned in your research of the history of Sojourner Truth, and what are some of those lessons that we can apply now in modern day 2024. Folks, we are just getting started with Bonita Oliver, a multidisciplinary performer and artist. Join us in the conversation. Stay tuned. It's Areva Martin in real time. I'm Farajii Muhammad, and you're tuned in to KBLA 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh, man. Looks like Bobby needs a ride to the airport again.
Grab the keys.
Who's taking Auntie and her friends to the swap meet?
Grab the keys.
How about we drop these boxes off at Miss Johnson?
Grab the keys. Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, you're all about getting things done. So do it all in a Chevy SUV. From the versatile Equinox and Sporty Blazer to the roomy Traverse, our lineup of SUVs will carry you through every adventure. All you have to do is...
grab the keys?
That's how we do. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse Limited models. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Many homeowners and businesses use man-made stone as an alternative to traditional stone for their countertops. Handling these products puts workers' lives at risk. Without proper conditions, workers could die from the terminal lung disease silicosis. Employers must supply respiratory protection and water systems. It's essential to wet stone when cutting it to prevent breathing in dust. Do away with dusty, deadly practices. Visit WorkSafeWithSilica.org. This is a message from Cal OSHA.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
Fight climate change. This Earth Day, April 22nd, go Metro and ride for free. You'll make a difference. Metro buses run on clean energy, making every day Earth Day. Together, we can clear the air and connect our communities. Start your journey at metro.net.
We're not just a thermometer recording and broadcasting popular opinion. We aim to be a thermostat, transforming the conversation about climate justice in our community. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
The way we spend our time defines who we are. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, sir, you definitely are, and we are very happy that you're spending your time with us here on Areva Martin in real time. I'm your special guest host, Farajii Muhammad. I'm joined by the multidisciplinary performer and artist, Benita Oliver. She's talking to us about her latest exhibition, Aria's Sojourner Truth, as she talks, she's working on this exhibition, which is an homage to one of the great Black women of our history. A woman, even though we often bring her up in conversations, and I would go as far as to say, Benita, that we don't know as much as we should know about our sister Sojourner Truth as compared to like a Harriet Tubman or other matriarchs of our liberation. And so you're doing your part to bring her story even more to life by using or creating these arias, which speaks to different times in her life where she made significant gains, from everything from purchasing her own home to writing that speech, Ain't I a Woman? And so you're deciding to do that, but you're doing this using AR, which for those who may not be familiar, augmented reality. First and foremost, talk to us about why you decided to use AR to tell this part of her story, or tell these parts of her story.
Yeah, so to bring that into it, I have to kind of go back to why I am so fascinated by Sojourner and her story. So back in 2020, I was a vocalist performing a symphonic piece by a composer about Sojourner Truth. And whenever I'm approaching something artistically, I love to do my research. And I had learned about Sojourner when I was in high school, of course, I'd learned about the Ain't I a Woman speech, but we just touched on it, and like you said, we kind of group her in with Harriet Tubman, and we don't really get a real sense of the woman, the individual that Sojourner was. And she was a very unique human being. I mean, she lived a kind of eccentric life, actually. But the thing that really struck me about her story that I didn't know until doing this research in 2020 was that she was very much about integrity, very much about representing herself and directing her image in a way that was highly curated. She did not want to be painted by anyone. She only wanted to be photographed because she knew that if people were painting her, they could take liberties with her image and characterize her in a way that was not authentic to who she was. So she insisted on only being photographed. And every photograph was stylized by Sojourner herself. And she later took it upon herself to, she was actually one of the first people to use the carte de visite, which is like, a postcard with her image on it, as a way to promote herself. So she just struck me as like kind of a marketing guru, in the early 1800s, mid 1800s. If she were alive today, she would be very savvy in how she was putting herself forward. And, in 2020, we had the pandemic happen. We were in lockdown. People were engaging in the metaverse. People were at home using AR filters, to communicate with each other via, the different social media platforms.
Yeah.
And it just got me thinking about the importance of integrity in this digital age. And really, I was also thinking about our young people and how our young people are so highly influenced by social media and by image, the type of distorted images that we see through these AR filters that are mostly about, beautifying ourselves. The fact that now we have things like deepfake technology that are bringing back some of our historical figures. In fact, I think in 2020, there was a campaign during Black History Month where you were seeing some of our famous, Black historical figures kind of reanimated through AI, through deepfake technology.
Yeah.
And that actually creeps me out, to be honest.
Yeah,
I didn't like that.
And I'm glad, and I know we got a few moments left, Bonita, but I'm glad that you brought that up. No, it's all good. You're fine. And I'm glad that you were able to kind of give us some insight into the backstory of this exhibition. But how do we make sure that we don't cross a line of taking someone who has made such a major contribution to our history and trivializing them or making them into a caricature and making sure that they are seen the way they would like to be seen, just as much as you said. So our sister Sojourner Truth was very careful about the image. And I, as I'm listening to that, Bonita, I'm thinking to myself, man, here's a woman back in the 1800s that had that mindset to say, you know what, I don't want anyone else to basically, take liberties with my image. And the lesson that I get from that is that we shouldn't want someone else to tell our story, to show us how, to tell us how we should be seen in the world. So how do we make sure that our great ones aren't caricaturized to the point where they become caricatures?
Well, and that is, again, why I was so drawn to Sojourner, because even with her taking so much care in telling her story, because she didn't read or write, she was an orator, she was a speaker, she did rely on others to, transcribe her words. And we didn't have the technology of audio recordings back then. But what I liked about this is that I feel like her story and the way she approached her historical legacy, the way she was conscious of that, serves as an example of how to maintain our integrity as we are entering this digital age of misinformation. So the telling of her story through this lens of looking at the integrity of the historical record and looking at how and integrating this technology that is highly distortional, right? It's highly distorting. AR can be. It can be used in very negative ways. I wanted to bring it in so that people would see that this is a moment in time where we really need to think about how we're using these technologies and how can we use these technologies with a deeper intention. How can we use them in a way that won't be harmful, but that will actually help us tell accurate and truthful stories. And because Sojourner was all about that, I felt she was the perfect person to kind of also bring into this narrative, while also honoring her own personal story, to also bring into a wider and very relevant narrative right now, a discussion right now, I should say, about how we maintain the digital record, our historical record. So how do we do that? We do that by, again, referring back to people like Sojourner Truth, who understood the importance of her voice and the words that she would say, and how people would years later look upon her image and how could she, teleport herself into the future, essentially, in a way that she could still stand as a representation of integrity and truth. So how do we draw inspiration from her story as, people that are highly enmeshed in this digital age? How do we draw upon her story for our own inspiration about how to move forward? And that's what this is all about.
We got about 30 seconds, Benita, so I want to give you the opportunity to share all the details and how people can get more details about this exhibition that's taking place tomorrow in Florence, Massachusetts.
Yes, so please go to bonitaoliver.com, where you will find the information about where this will be taking place. It is in Florence, Massachusetts, in the center of town on Pine Street, the Sojourner Truth Memorial. People who have apps like Instagram will be able to access the augmented reality components of this piece. So those of you who don't have Instagram, it's okay. There are other ways that you'll be able to see these AR animations if you come to the site, and I will have guides there to help people navigate the AR features. But please come. It is a free exhibition and live performance, and I really hope that it inspires people to get out and explore these historical landmarks that are all over in honor of our Black historical figures.
Benita, you're bringing up some fascinating pieces to the conversation. I personally did not know that part of Sojourner Truth, so I feel like my consciousness has been edified as a result of this conversation. So I'm sure many other folks probably are thinking twice about how we, as Black folks, even how we present our heroes and sheroes to each other. For us to all understand that it is about maintaining our integrity. It is about making sure that we're presenting our people and our history in the correct light. And most importantly, it is about making sure that we are staying in tune with the people that we say that are our heroes and sheroes. So I appreciate you so much, Benita, for sharing this with us. And, God willing, we'll bring you back on to talk about what the feedback has been and also some other topics relating to arts and culture. But thank you so much, Bonita Oliver, for joining us here.
Thank you.
I appreciate
you. Thank you so much, Farajii. It was so great to speak with you.
Absolutely.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. Folks,
right,
stay with us. We got a lot more to get to in the next hour as we check in with Dr. Bridget Cole Williams here on Areva Martin in real time.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Americans don't have a positive outlook on personal finances and the economy. The University of Michigan reports consumer sentiment slipped in June 3.5 points from May as worries about long-term inflation edged higher. Florida is being hit with another day of flooding downpours. The National Weather Service says